Found you.
Alright, but you gotta admit, 3 months is a pretty good run. So here it is, third episode. I didn't really necessarily think we'd get here, but here we are. I also didn't think I'd buy a green screen. But I did. Anyway, that'll come in handy a little bit later. But for now, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. We finally hit kind of an infamous one, being both the first video game movie and one that's, I feel, unfairly talked about. It's also been pretty well documented in its production. A point I'm not really going to address. If you're really interested in that, and it is important to know, there's a pretty good video that the gaming historian did that outlines a lot of that. The problem with that is a lot of people judge the movie based on how it was made and not so much on what the results were. Much like the Need for Speed review, I had to watch this movie a few times, and I have a different perspective on it. I kind of want to bring that more into it and judge the movie based on its final result rather than the history of it. And I'm going to just do it like I always do with my 3-category review, put it on the list. And I'm going to express more about what I thought about it in my final thoughts. So, without further ado,
let's go!
The movie opens on music that tells the lie that the Mario you know and love is coming. We hear John Leguigi tell us about the fate of the dinosaurs of Earth to a I'm not sure what bit animation. Then some otherworldly force throws Chun-Li's Kikoken and wipes out the dinosaurs. Fair enough so far.
What if the dinosaurs weren't all destroyed?
With all the debris, I think it would be pretty rough.
What if the impact of that meteorite created a parallel dimension where the dinosaurs continue to thrive?
Where are you going with this, Luigi?
Hey, what if they found a way back?
No, that's a different movie with talking dinosaurs. Anyway, cut to Brooklyn 20 years ago and witness a frantic mother leaving a weird robot egg at an orphanage with a crystal. A nun takes it inside, despite it looking like an explosive more than anything. The mother flees back to the sewer and is snagged by General Koopa. Back at the orphanage, the robot egg opens up to reveal a regular egg inside, which hatches, with a warm-blooded baby inside. Now, if you had not seen the title and had no idea what was to come, this might be the point where you were either intrigued or just outright leaving. We cut to Brooklyn now, and we get some backstory on what's been going on as we meet the Mario brothers. We meet the Scapellis, who don't matter, but hearing Bob Hoskins say Scapelli is burned into my brain, so it feels like a character I should introduce. We also see the orphan girl who is all grown up and now goes by Daisy. We also meet my favorite characters in the movie, Spike and Iggy Koopa. I'm introducing these people because for the remainder of their time we're in Brooklyn, nothing really happens other than Luigi being a bad flirt. It's kinda cute. Other than that, the plot gets pushed forward, but not with anything worth mentioning. Instead, I'll take this time to point something out. So this movie was released in 1993, giving a year of script writing and development since the development of this movie was a nightmare and no telling when this script was actually put together. These were the Mario games that were out: Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, and 3, Super Mario Land, Super Mario World, and Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins. Given that they're using Daisy, they're pulling from the Land series. Now, World was surely the most popular of the list at the time, so I get the dinosaur storyline, but what I am saying is, you gave Mario New York rivals with the character Scapelli, when Wario existed. Just pointing that out since I've noticed that most people don't. Anyway, after a lot of setup and the mysterious lore of the dino world, a pipe breaks because of those goddamn Scapellis. They burst a pipe trying to flood the dig site Daisy is examining. By the way, Daisy is an archaeology student. Why? In story terms, Scapelli's contracting company can't continue to build where there's an archaeological find. In movie watching terms, we need to be reminded that the Mario brothers are plumbers. After all, we might have forgotten at this point, not counting all the times they mention it and have tools and talk about plumbing. While they are fixing the pipes, Daisy gets snagged by Iggy and Spike, who had nothing to do with the flooding. Just a fortunate coincidence for them. She gets pulled into the dino world through solid rock, and the brothers follow. I just need to take a moment to say I love Bob Jumpman Hopkins. It's not a hot take, but I do think he's the jewel of this movie. We then see a view of Koopa City and get to meet the Exposition Saurus King Koopa himself. We learn a few things. They have been exiled for 65 million years. He needs the rock, aka a piece of the original meteor, and their skin is synthetic. Unclear if that goes for everyone or just him, but we see him coating his hands like frosted flakes. It seems weird not to bring it up, but the movie also doesn't ever again. The movie has no time to slow down, as we cut to Mario and Luigi already losing their rock because they get mugged by an old lady, which is a fun scene, to be fair. Truth be told, the next few scenes are actually really fun. Mario and Luigi Mario get sniped into prison and are cell neighbors with Toad, who explains more things. Things that he's unexplainably on the nose about, but hey, someone needs to know what's going on. Also, I think these things are either sniffits or Shy Guys, but who can say? After an interrogation and threat by example of Koopa's de-evolution tech by turning Toad into a Goomba, the brothers make a daring escape. They come across a big pile of fungus that tries to offer them a bomb, but they don't notice. The officers are using guns that shoot fireballs, fire flowers, to try and stop them from getting away. They manage to get out and hop into a police car and drive through the city. I think this might be a reference to Mario Kart, which came out the previous year, but I can't say for sure. But something I do need to note that this movie does not get credit for is 1, this movie predicted in-dashboard GPS, and 2, the cars run on electricity because here there's no fossil fuels. It's kind of a nice touch. Koopa's Lady Lena, who I can't for the life of me think she might be, maybe Paulina, goes and gets Daisy to bring her to a meeting with Creeposaurus. It's not a scene that's really important, but it does hint that Daisy is a dino. Also something that doesn't make sense later, but we'll get to that. We then cut to Mario and Luigi in the desert, where they meet up with an improved Iggy and Spike, who went forward in the evolution machine in order to become smarter. We then head over to the Boom Boom Club to try and get the rock back that was stolen from them and is now owned by Big Bertha. Honestly, this movie moves so fast that even writing it now, I'm trying to keep up. Anyway, Mario dances with Bertha, gets the rock, and must have won her over because she helps them escape. As they're running away, they find jumpsuits that are almost correct. It's so frustrating. They don't look bad, but so close that, like, you could have done it right. We then get to what is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I know it's dumb, but that's what's great about it. We now catch up with Daisy and Lena. Yoshi tries to save Daisy when Lena goes to 11, only to get murked by her instead. And he's gone forever and ever. Then Daisy gets away, showing off her tissue paper thin dress. Like, seriously, look at that thing. She then meets up with Toad again, as well as Spike and Iggy. They inform Daisy that they're now on her side and want to take her to her father, the big fungus covering the city. So, not a dino. Make up your mind. Mario and Luigi run into her after being guided by the fungus and learn the king's fate as well. Koopa finds out about this meetup and cuts them off as they try to escape. We get a brief scene of Lena scheming before switching to Mario running ahead of Daisy and Luigi, who promptly get captured. Mario moves on to find the missing girls from Brooklyn. By the way, girls were disappearing from Brooklyn, which was a point earlier I skipped because it's not important. Like, it sounds like it's an important plot point. It isn't. He promptly saves them by kicking a Koopa Troopa, not a jump, but the spirit is there, and sliding down a frozen vent on the Goomba Master. It feels like it was supposed to have a coming soon to Six Flags sort of tie-in. Actually, you know what? For all I know, it might have. At the end of the slide, Mario meets up with Luigi and Daisy, who got away at some point. They once again get caught by Koopa, but Mario buys them a little time by using the jump boots as a projectile to Koopa's chest. Again, not a jump, but I kind of see where you're going with that. While Mario and Koopa are fighting, the meteor fragment falls and Lena tries to catch it, but promptly falls over onto a power grid. She survives this one and runs off with Luigi in hot pursuit behind her. Mario and Koopa are running amok through the streets while Lena has finally made it to the meteor. She's attempting to merge the two worlds back together, but I'm not sure why she wants to do that. I guess to get in Koopa's good graces, maybe. Meanwhile, Mario holds Koopa's attention by faking that he has the rock, all while Lena gets turned into dry Lena. Mario tries to use a bomb to stop Koopa, but instead it walks down the sewer. He's about to finish off Mario as the rock is reformed and the worlds merge, creating a shot that won't age poorly ever. No sir. We have an example of a human getting de-evolved when Scapelli is hit by the beam and he is turned into a monkey. Honestly, the way Dennis Hopper says monkey isn't that special, but it's one of my favorite moments, and I honestly can't place why. Koopa fires the beam at Mario, but Mario uses a piece of the fungus and absorbs the beam with a mushroom. Again, not quite right, but I see what you're doing. Luigi and Daisy separate the rock again, and we are quickly back in Koopa City. I'm gonna say the monkey line was the only reason they kept this scene. Back in Koopa City, the fight continues, only this time Mario and Luigi have the rays and blast them at Koopa. With the help of the Bob-omb from earlier, he's blasted into what I think is supposed to be the clown car, but I honestly don't know. Also, for some reason, they felt it necessary to brand the Bob-omb's feet with Reebok. I don't know what's going on there. Koopa then gets his jump scare that I forgot was a thing haunting my childhood until I rewatched this, and then is hit with more ray until he's melted into primordial goo. For some reason, Koopa's defeat leads to the king being returned to normal. I don't know, but it's definitely a nod to Mario 3 since, you know, that does happen. We get a praised hero moment from Mario and Luigi, and an extended goodbye scene as we're leaving for Brooklyn. The closing scene is cute, but setting up for a sequel that, of course, didn't happen, so why dwell on it? And that's a Super Mario Bros. Movie. I have some things I want to add, but more importantly, I want to give credit where it seems to never get it. So I'll see you all in the review for that. Da 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 da. Oh, mushroom, give me power.
You realize that's not going to make you big, right?
It'll make me feel big.
Is there alcohol in that?
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to point out before we get started, I had 3 months to grow a mustache. This is all I could do. Let's pretend that it's better than it looks. Now anyway, like I said before, this movie has a lot more going for it than people seem to give it credit for. So let's move on to the game feel positives, which I know people are going to ask me, how can that be a thing? I'll show you. So more of this movie references the game than people like to notice, and I actually did pick through all the ones that I could find. I really didn't feel like diving completely into every single scene, but let's just consider these the ones that can be noticed, and I'm going to list them off for you. It's a little unprofessional, but I'm going to have my phone in the shot because this is a list that I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'd rather not keep trying to take takes over and over again. So for one, the guns in the movie that shoot fireballs are known as Fry Guys. Number 2, the jump boots serving as the main tool of Mario's attacks are Thwomp brand shoes. Number 3, there's various signs for Hammer Brothers construction. Number 4, these guys in suits are either Shy Guys or Sniffets or both. I really can't figure that one out. Number 5, this specific pose that Koopa does makes me think this is supposed to be the clown car. Number 6, Bullet Bill's nightclub. Not to mention the little canisters that go in the Thwomp shoes are Bullet Bills themselves. Number 7, Boom Boom's bar. Number 8, there's a seldom seen sign for a Fire Snake Pizza Company, which is also a reference to this enemy in Mario 2. The money is just called Koopa coins, which is a little bit of a stretch, but we don't really see them, so who knows, they might look like this. Number 10, the throne for the Fungus King is the same as these thrones in Mario 3. And I'm sure that there's others, but my point is you can't make all of these references without at least knowing the subject material, which shows that they weren't just making whatever they felt like everyone seems to say. Unfortunately, that's about where it stops. And that's what we'll touch on in. So part of the game feel negatives for this, of course, are the obvious ones, but the ones I really want to go against, the ones I just mentioned, are, while there are references, they're all kind of misused. It doesn't really feel right, exactly. So let's say, for example, that Mario wanted to have a shield in the movie. It wouldn't make sense because it's not really from any Mario game, but it's something I could visually see Mario having. You know, it's not inherently not for the character. He definitely shouldn't have one of these, though. Another thing that just kind of feels weird for them not to do is there's several places where Mario music would have really fit. Like here, for example. But they didn't do that. There's not really any references to any Mario music, which, granted, a lot of video game movies don't do, but it's Mario. That's like the third brother. Also, the general choice of characters is odd. Not just the casting, but like which ones they decided to use. I understand that Toad is an important character, but he's just kind of in it. And also, as much as I like Iggy and Spike, why them? Why that much screen time? And also, again, I said this in the synopsis, but like, Bowser's love interest, who is that? And again, like I said before, I'm not really going to talk about all the other stuff that's been reviewed to death. So let's just say that everything else that's off in general, I also think is off. I'm not going to try to fight for it and say that it's not. So with all that, that leaves us with the game feel score of 35. So in quality of positives, as much as the reports have said that he didn't enjoy making it, Bob Hoskins is always a treat. Like, there's something about the way he says Scapellis made me remember who they are. They're not important whatsoever, but I love that. I love every time he says Brooklyn. I love all of that stuff. Bob Hoskins, oh, whatever. I've never learned how to say your name. I was going to edit that part out, but I'll just admit it. If I've said it wrong, I'm sorry. Also, I just genuinely really like Iggy and Spike as characters. They're not good for the characters of the actual game, but I like them. If I didn't know who they were, which I didn't when I first watched this, they're delightful. I enjoy them. So another thing to positives, these sets are really cool and detailed. Like, people talk about how ugly this movie is, but, like, okay, if the Mushroom Kingdom was a city, and Koopa took it over as like a mayor, I could believe they would come out like this. And I have really no problems with that. I think for what they were going for, they did a good job, and people should give it credit for that. The feeling of adventure in this new land kind of sticks with the movie the whole time. It's really fun the way they actually go for all of the things that happen in Koopa City. It also has very few slow moments, except for the beginning and some parts near the end. It's really well paced for what it is, I think. Also, again, even though people seem to have a really bad time making this, they all seem to be sort of going for it. No one's really sleeping through this movie. They're all kind of trying. I'm sure there's some outliers, but let's just face it that I can't really think of them, so they must not have been that bad for the movie. So, honestly, with the quality negatives, I have mixed feelings about this, but I don't really like Leguizamo as Luigi, and I also don't really like Dennis Hopper as Koopa. Not that they did a bad job, but they just seem miscast, that's all. Also, the story is weird. And not like in a fun way, in a confusing and hard to grasp kind of way. Even though it's real simple. And I think that comes from a bigger sense of why than what, if that makes sense. Again, I already said this once, but a lot of the costumes are off. Like, the Mario Brothers jumpsuits are one thing, and I'm not saying it's off as far as accuracy goes, but it just doesn't feel right in this movie. Like, you know, Daisy's paper-thin dress. That's just weird to me. And, like, I'm not a prude, but it's weird to me. And I can't really figure out why. Just, why? I don't really know. Crunching all those opinions together gives us a quality score of 40. Entertainment positives, this is going to be a hard one to really dive into, but I don't know. I have fun every time I watch this movie, and anybody who wants to watch it, I am completely down for it. What I typically do is I'll watch the movie and then write notes, and around, I'd say, the beginning of the third act, I had such a hard time every single time writing and not just watching. It picks up into a very fun degree, and also, more than just watching the movie, it's just fun. That's all it is. It just feels fun. It's fun to remember, it's fun to talk about, it's fun to show to someone who's never seen it before. Fun is the best definition for it. In entertainment negatives, this one's obvious. If you want a Mario movie, this one's not it. Unless you just want a movie with Mario in it, then it passes. Otherwise, it's not anything that you would imagine when you say, it's a Mario movie. It also doesn't feel like the kind of movie that this would be the case for, but it really does take a couple watches for it to really sink all in, you know? There's a couple twists in the plot where, on the first viewing, you feel like you understand what happened, and then you watch it again, you're like, okay, maybe not. There's a lot of details that I don't understand, and I still don't understand why the Bob-omb has Reeboks on. It doesn't seem important. It's probably not important. It was so focused on. Why is it there? I don't understand that. Also, for some reason, this one's really confusing to my memory. I watched this as a kid, and it feels like I built my own memory of certain scenes. Like, my own Mandela effect to things. People who watched it with me know exactly what scene I'm talking about. And, because of all that, we have an entertainment score of 75. So, with all that taken into account, it leaves us as Mario with a final score of 50, placing it here in the chart, which, now that we have 4, we have a best, middle, and worst, so the list is actually getting somewhere. So for my final thoughts on this one, I just want to say, I do feel that this movie has earned its reputation earnestly, whether it's the positive memory or the negatives that have come up over its development. But without that stuff muddying the water, I felt it was necessary to talk about it just as how I've seen it, and how I've showed it to people who had never seen it. And we all kind of compiled our thoughts together and ultimately came up with these ratings. Really, I kind of judged these final thoughts on would I recommend this for another person. If the person had never seen it, I'd say yes, I would. If the person has seen it and just wants to remember the movie, yes, I would. I don't think this is that bad of a movie. It is a 50, that's perfect middle ground, and I think that's proper where it falls. I think, though, we really have to take into account something that's mostly overlooked. This is the first video game movie ever. There was no judgment call of how it should be. They had no clue what kind of audience they may have or what rules they may need to follow, so it's very likely that they kind of got scared and said, who wants a movie directly based on the video game? They want something that's based on something recognizable. Which is why I have realized the reason this doesn't feel like a Mario game is because it's not based on a Mario game. Instead, it's based on the other really popular Mario title at the time, The Super Show. It's why they're constantly remembered as plumbers. It's why they're from Brooklyn. It's why there's a lot of stuff that wasn't in the game. It's because it's based on the other video media that was successful. It was the safer bet. And there's a good reason for that. The Mario Bros. Super Show is super well loved. Lou Albano was great. Danny Wells is really good as Luigi. We just rewatched it. It's a fucking fever dream, but it's very fun. But more so, it gave us something extra special. It gave us the original jam.
Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario, take one step. And then again, let's do the Mario all together now. You got it. It's the Mario. Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario, take one step. And then again, let's do the Mario all together now. Come on now, just like that.
Oh god, it's hot.